a body was found in the street. And also horribly, they said that, and I don't know if I read this initially or not, but that they could tell that the body had been dumped. The person actually wasn't dead yet, and it was up there on
I'm sorry, just a second. Did you know that?
Hey, this is Haley.
This is Heather.
And you're watching the Dunnit Sisters, Kansas City True Crime Podcast. This show is on Kimani Pouncil. We spoke with Kimani Pouncil. We went out to where her cousin was found, and she explained about who he was as a person and told what she could of the situation or the case, and that's why we need your help. We don't have much on it, not much to go by, so please watch.
So Kimani, he was like a rambunctious little boy, just like everybody else, like everybody else's little boy. He liked dogs, he loved to dance, he loved music. He was very active when he was younger. You know, you don't have the choice but to be active in church when you got parents that are doing it. But when he got older, he still made a decision to like praise dance for a company called Mechanical Man and Company. They do like mime praise dancing, and so he did that for a long time. He had autism, so he had his basic struggles, just like most high functioning, people with autism. He, did well, but he had his struggles. But like nothing to deserve any of this. And all we know is that he was turning 18. We were getting ready for the inauguration for Barack Obama, and we were getting ready to vote. He turned 18 on October the 16th, which put him past the deadline to actually vote in the election. However, he was active with the campaign stuff. So, and we have like a family nonprofit that he's always Save Our Children from Crime. He's always been a part and been a very volatile part of Save Our Children from Crime, because he was, of course, a young man, and he was able to help communicate with the other young men in ways that the older women, like my mom and my grandma and them, couldn't connect to the younger people. But he just had like a normal charm, and his smile, like, and when you meet him, he was like, you would love him, So this is just unfortunate that no one knows anything, but someone knows something. Somebody's seen something, but I'm just trying to figure out how we can't find out who did it. I'm not sure about how his whole evening went. He lived with his mom, and his sisters and brothers over in Kansas. And from the time that he left his home to go enjoy himself till about 3 o'clock in the morning when they called me telling me that they found him.
Okay.
About 4 or 5 o'clock when I finally got the call. But from that time, there's no accounts of, well, nobody's seen him. Oh, he didn't make it over here, or he didn't do this, or I didn't go here. Well, I had already dropped him off, and so nobody can match or attest to anything. So I'm just confused.
So when he left, he was heading to the party?
We don't know. I don't know exactly where he was heading. All I know is that he was going out to hang with his friends on his birthday. So no telling where they were going. There was not like a, destination that they probably said, where we're going. We're just going to just go hang out and, just be 18-year-old boys.
Right. So no one knew he was missing, or nothing was up until he was found?
Apparently that's how everybody's acting. Nobody can give his mother an answer on what happened to her son when he left the house. Okay. And I don't even know. I've been trying to get answers, and I know it's opening up old wounds, and I get that some people don't want to talk about it. And I'm on the daddy side of the family. However, I don't feel like this is the time for me to ignore all the signs, all of everything that I feel like God is telling me that He's trying to tell me something. I just have to listen. And we have to get out the way and allow the law enforcement who is working to work, and then move the ones out that don't want to work. But I'm talking to, detectives, and they said that they had ideas about who that they had in mind. They won't give us any names because that, it jeopardizes the integrity of the case, but I'm allowing them to, I guess, continue holding on to the evidence until they get the new DNA stuff squared away. Because now there are things that are available to us that were not available at that time. As the family member, we're like, how was DNA not available? But we're just going to.
They didn't do DNA in 2008.
So
DNA testing.
They didn't?
no, because they already
No.
had the person or the interest in mind. So they already kind of had a target on who they were going to be dealing with. And then when they didn't have a solid lead, because you're not going to have anything solid without evidence, which would be DNA, confession, eyewitness account. You have nothing. So that's what was kind of making us kind of blurry, just making sure that, then we heard over time about him being killed in Kansas by a police officer and dropped off over here because this is Missouri state line. So Genesee, if you go down on the other side, it's Kansas, and then we're on Missouri. So this would make it Missouri's responsibility and not Kansas City, Kansas responsibility. Okay, so this is the dead end. The house is up there. There's 2 houses up there. The dead end. And this building, nothing over there. So ain't no surveillance.
I've lived up the street for decades. This street is a real city street, and it just so happens that it runs into this dead-end block.
Okay.
So it kind of looks like an alley, but it's not. It is actually really a city street. There's only, 3 houses up there. This incident, which is terrible, I didn't know a thing happened until later, heard about it on the news. I mean, it's been enough years ago that I don't exactly remember how I heard about it, but I heard about it. And of course, it was disturbing to hear that what I heard was that a body was found in the street. And also horribly, they said that, and I don't know if I read this initially or not, but that they could tell that the body had been dumped, the person actually wasn't dead yet. And it was up there on
I'm
the
sorry,
street.
just a second. Did you know that?
Yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
it's horrible. So and that somehow they knew. I don't know how they knew this, but they were with the person was with 2 other people, and that as far as I can understand, it had nothing to do with this particular location, but somebody's just driving and like, oh, look, here's a little side street. And what I was also told, who knows if this is accurate, but they thought, I guess because of the way the wound was, that it looked like it was an accidental shooting, like somebody accidentally had a gun and shot themselves in the leg, and rather than the jerks that they were with doing the right thing, which of course would be to rush the person to an emergency room, they didn't want to be involved, and they unfortunately chose to just drive up this little street and dump the person. And then what I also heard, and again, I apologize. This is just what I remember hearing, because even though I live up there, I heard not a thing. Apparently, it was in the middle of the night. Next day, I knew nothing. What I heard was that somebody, because there is a street light up there, happened to be driving by and saw a person in the street and called the police. Now, again, I didn't hear anything. And then unfortunately the person died.
So were you ever, did the police ever ask you any questions, or
No.
did they talk to you?
No.
So we know that Kimani, it was his birthday, and so he went out. His mom did not know where he went or who he went out with, because he's 18 and he didn't, he's an adult. He didn't have to tell her everything. But so we know he leaves the house, and then they don't hear anything until maybe around 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's when the mom gets a phone call that he's been shot and he's dead. None of the people he was with, they didn't call her. They didn't say, hey, he's been shot, or he didn't want, maybe he wandered off, maybe he met up with somebody else and left, but that's just the thing. They don't know. The friends have not said anything about what happened that night. For him to go out with them and then to be found in this secluded area, when we visited that spot, it's a dead end road. It looks so much just like a long driveway, and
Yeah, it does look like a long private driveway. That's what I thought it was. I didn't know it was a city street.
it's a city street, and there's trees all around, and I couldn't imagine in the middle of the night it would have been really.
But still, even though not the neighbor, the homeowner said that there was one street light down that road, it would have been very dark.
So the police have said that in an article that he was dumped.
So we don't have anything to go by. There's no one to question because there's no time frame. There's no just he left and he was found dead. There's all that gap in between where nothing we
happened.
don't know what he was doing, we don't know where he went, we don't know who he's with.
And Marquina says there's like apartments maybe like a block away.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody in those apartments that he would have known because the police tried to see
Some type of relation, and
relation. There's no relation to that area at all, and that they didn't do any DNA testing.
No.
They're gonna maybe start doing DNA testing now, but they didn't do anything back in 2008.
As we were leaving, we saw that someone was trying to pull in to it's like a one lane, which you'll see obviously, trying to come in. So we're trying to get out, and she stops and talks to Marquina, and we found out she is the homeowner, actually owns 2 homes up in that area, and her brother owns the other home. And she then explained her version of the night.
The police have never spoken with her, which we were completely shocked. They didn't question any. There's 3 houses at the top of that hill, the road. The police didn't talk to any of them. But she gives us an account that we could not find any of that information in newspapers. Well, there's barely any articles on Kimani anyway. But she started telling us this stuff, and this is like, what are you talking about?
So the newspapers or the articles say that he was found in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road that you see in the video.
And that there were 2 women and a brother walking home found him.
Around midnight.
And that was pretty much and that he was dumped.
And he was dumped. They believe he was dumped because of the blood pooling there, but there's no like trail. No. So they believe he was dumped right there at that spot, which again, it's a very secluded spot.
And I don't know, because then her version's a little different.
Right. So
okay, so hold on. So it does make sense. It does make sense that by the news article, someone walking home, that makes sense, because if you're driving by, you're going to miss that road just driving by. So in my opinion, you have to know that road's there. Okay, so you can't see down that road. Like I said, there's only one light. There's no way you're going to see down that road. It's too dark for a man to be in the road laying down. You have to be walking.
But that's where her story says that she says somebody saw Kimani. Someone saw Kimani in the road, and they called police. So that was one piece of information she gave. But then she says that a witness saw a car with 3 people in it go by, and then when it left, there were only 2 people in it. So we're assuming they got dumped.
Because she says that she didn't hear about any of this until the morning because she was asleep. So she didn't hear anything, see anything.
And she doesn't remember where she got this information. She says she maybe read it in the paper, but there are no articles that say any of this.
But she also says, so remember that she did tell us that she owns 2 of the houses. Her brother owns another house, right? So in the article, it says that, like we said before, 2 women and a brother were walking home. Now, the only way that you could be walking home on that road is if you are walking home to one of those 3 houses. And who owns those 3 houses is her, who we were talking to, and her brother. But yet, she says she was sleeping. So
we're thinking it was her, and that's why she didn't want to be seen on the camera, and she doesn't really want to be involved. But that is the only thing that makes sense. And I would explain why she knows things that are in the paper, which was completely...
threw us off about being alive
That was not anything that anyone
Kimani had no clue that he was still alive when he was found.
Not at all. Not at all. And nobody would know that. It didn't say that in the papers. And that he had been shot in the leg. Okay, so he was shot in the leg, which leads us to think that it was an accident. Although, and instead of taking him to the hospital, they decided to dump him. But she knew that he had been shot in an area that leads you to think that it wasn't to kill. So how would she have known that? Again, which is making us think that she's the one who found him.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't understand. If I was the one that found him, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I remember that night. I'm the one that found your brother. Well, she calls him brother because, how they were raised, but I'm the one that found your cousin. And I would have explained the situation. But, a lot of people don't want to get involved. Like we've noticed in other cases, people just don't like to get involved. But and we're not by any means saying she did this. We're just saying the account seems, why won't you just say that was you, that you were the one that found him? I don't understand. And the family's been left in the dark. I mean, to have a family member, a loved one leave, and not only do they know how they're leaving or who they're leaving with, but there's like a huge space and then they're just found. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions.
That's what we know.
And that's when you come in. So, yes.
We're very important. We need your help. That's why we do this. It's so important that when you watch these that you can share them so that people who know about the case, who know Kimani and have knowledge about this can
come forward
and because there's holes in this. There's holes in the timeline.
Right, huge. And there's a $25,000 reward for information leading up to the arrest. Remember, you can remain anonymous. Call the TIPS hotline, 816-474-TIPS.
So please subscribe, please share, please like. Thank you very much.
What's the next show? So, do we talk about... Because did we do...
We did that last time. We have a surprise one.
So we didn't...
No, we didn't have a surprise.
Does it say it on the show?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, the next show is our surprise. It's a special one, so it's very important. Very important. It should be important to everybody. So please watch.
Thanks.
Thank you.